Take advantage of the Boxing King Media discount at BYD Sheffield. You can get this amazing car for £269 per month with a £269 deposit. Details in the description.
Boxing King Media, powered by BYD. Delighted to be joined by Mr. Gareth A. Davies, back from his bare knuckle adventures. Is that a fair way of saying it? Bare knuckle adventures?
That's a fair way of saying it. Bare knuckle adventures in Cardiff. Backyard brawl extreme, number 36, with Dada 5000 in the crew. Barry Jones, the Welshman. It was a great atmosphere. Barry Jones, the Welshman, who was 10-0 when I first saw him fight. He lost a fight to a guy called LT Smash Nelson, a brilliant American fighter, in a brilliant fight. And he mashed up Grigoris Cisneros to win the light heavyweight title. It's over so quickly sometimes. Raucous atmosphere, very raw. You'd love it. You'd love it. You'd love getting those Boxing King Media lenses in. They should come to one with me when there's a quiet weekend and just see some blood and gristle on the end of your camera. It'll definitely get splashed in blood.
I bet there's some crazy knockouts.
Oh, and normally in the first round as well. Half the fights end in the first round. It's got like a 90% knockout ratio in all the fights they've ever had, in a tiny little trigon. So there's no hiding place. It's the kind of place where you and I would smash each other up.
No, I hope you mean in fighting sense.
Yeah, in the fighting sense, where we'd smash each other up, but we'd smash it up with our bare fists. Tell me, come on, smash it up. Have you got any of those subscribers questions this week, or are we bare?
Yeah, we did loads last week. I don't know which one it was, but one of them got bloody the interview like limited, so it was only put out to people over 18. I don't know which question it was, but
that's because you go below the belt with so many questions. You go to the netherworld. You need to keep it clean, Boxing King Media.
I'm trying, mate. I'm trying. I've only got one, to be fair.
Okay, go on then.
It's somebody who seems like he's a bit of a fan, so I don't know if he's a fan of your work, but he's saying Gareth is the kind of guy who eats his Weetabix with chopsticks whilst watching loose women on TV.
That is absolutely what mind thinks of that. What kind of mind is very creative? That
two questions in there. Do you eat Weetabix with chopsticks and do you watch loose women?
I mean, the combination of all three is almost the impossible dream, isn't it? You know, do you know who's on Loose Women or not?
I've got no idea, mate. I'm guessing it's women.
It's a women's chat show. I don't know who's on it, but it's quite a famous women's. Paris Fury's been on it a couple of times.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all those women that are absolute nails in life are on it. I think it's like BBC Radio 4's got Woman's Hour and TV's got Loose Women. They talk about all things. It's like ladies out to lunch, but it's quite sensible. And I think I've watched it a couple of times. I watched the ones that Paris was on, but I don't know who else is on it. Am I the kind of guy? Let me just project myself, because in the next week I might try it. What worries me is the lack of ability as the Weetabix melts to get anything on a chopstick. You'd have to be really quick. I think you could probably get one Weetabix. I'm a 3 or 4 Weetabix guy. Yeah, I'm not a 2 Weetabix guy. I'm a 3 or 4. Normally 3. 4 is when I'm starving and I haven't had any breakfast and it's lunchtime and I need, you know, that feeling when you've been to the gym, walked 10 miles, rode 2 miles, swum half a mile or a mile, and you come home and you're starving. All you've had is 4 coffees. I reckon I could get one Weetabix down with the chopsticks. I am going to try it in the next week. I'm not going to do it live on camera for you.
Can you post it on Instagram?
No, I'm just going to have a go at it. And I'll send a picture to you of me with chopsticks and Weetabix in the bowl.
Watching Loose Women.
Watching Loose Women, sorry, as well, yeah.
Yep. Wicked. So let's jump onto the boxing.
Who was that, by the way, that asked that question?
An account called Boxing and Beards.
Boxing and beards. What an imaginative, creative person you've got there. Subscribe to you.
Yep. I think it's only fair that we start with the boxing on this side of the pond before we go across to the American side. Um, Big performance. I don't want to just start with Adam Azim. I think it's worth mentioning Callum Simpson as well. Huge ticket seller, and I think it's fair to say he kind of saved that show because when they had the pullouts, I think he, to my knowledge, he brought in 3,000 fans from Barnsley in what 2.5 weeks' notice. That's some incredible ticket selling power, and he can fight.
I've got to like Callum very much, and I hope he doesn't do a Fisher on me, where if I criticise one of his performances or say the judging is a disgrace if he loses, that he vault fasses on me or does a vault fass on me, because I do like the guy very much. I've told him myself that people like to write Callum Simpson off. Is he all that? How good is he? I think he's got the ability to fight at world level. And I think he's showing it more and more. I think it's his second fight in 3 weeks as well, isn't it? It's always nice to see him very active. Always enjoy him, always encourage him, like I do almost all fighters. I think he's very impressive as a person. I love when I meet him and his girl together. They're a lovely couple together, aren't they? You know, they've got it going on. He's very organized in his life. And I'm really pleased that he won again on Saturday night, wasn't it, in London? So well done to him. And like you say, props to him for keeping the show together in lots of ways.
Yep, and he's now headlining at Barnsley Stadium. They're looking to sell the full stadium out, and his name dropped Diego Pacheco. I don't know if he was that was in jest, but Shane Mosley Jr. is another name that they've dropped out there.
Yeah, both the big. Well, Shane Mosley Jr. is a name. Pacheco is one of the coming guys, a very big prospect for Eddie Hearn. Obviously, he's fought one of. When did he fight? Weekend before last in America, wasn't it?
He did.
And got a good victory. One of Eddie Hearn's stable, who's projecting very well at the moment, along with Akhmadaliev. Noya Nui shouldn't be in the pound for pound list. All of that. I've spoken to some other people, Boxing King media, to say that I think Eddie Hearn was a little bit deluded when he's saying Noya Nui should be dragged out of the pound for pound rankings. But his guy Diego Pacheco is building very well. I think he's had him now for. He's had Akhmadaliev for 5 years, 6 years. How long has he had Pacheco? Was that a year and a half ago or something?
Had him from straight from the Olympics amateurs and straight into
from Tokyo, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
I think so.
I mean, he's given him a lot of trumpets. I think it's Tokyo. 4 years, I think it is now. It might even be longer. But you know, he's a formidable force at 168 pounds, and he's going to rise this year, and I think we'll see a lot of him.
Indeed, he is. I think
I'm not sure Callum's ready for him yet, though, in my
Yeah.
view. But
Well,
Callum will fight anyone.
Shane Mosley Jr. just beat Danny Jacobs, so it could be an interesting fight. That was his last big win.
Yeah.
So, and then also on, you mentioned Eddie there on the Matchroom show. The big talking point was the Junaid Bostan and Bilal Fawaz fight. Have you seen that? And how did you score it?
I haven't seen what Junaid and Bilal.
Yep.
But Junaid for me is one of the prospects we don't talk about enough in this country. I don't know if you pointed him out to me a couple of years back. I think you might have said.
I did.
Because he's local to you and you know him well. He's a
Yeah.
brilliant kid. Do you know I ran into him? Have I told you this story? I ran into him one morning, early in the morning. I was coming up to Sheffield. Yeah, I was coming up to Sheffield. I can't remember what it was, about a year ago. It might even not have been as long as a year ago. And he'd been out partying all night with one of his mates who was on Love Island or something, or one of those reality TV shows. And I can't remember his mate's name. And he was a little bit chippy. Oh, what are you doing with the blue glass? He'd been out all night and he hadn't been to bed. Yeah. So his mate was a little bit half cut still. And he was being a bit chippy with me about blue glasses early in the morning. He was quite funny. But Junaid had been out all night, but he hadn't had a drink. And he said, I'm going back. I haven't slept, but I'm going back to get there for training because we were on like a 7 o'clock train, 7:30 train that was getting in Sheffield for 9 or 10. I know why I was going. I was going to see, and I should mention it, I was going to see Ash to do the 360 for Undisputed, the 270 cameras. That's why I was going up to see Ash, to get photographed all rounds as they do 360 to put you in the game as a media figure. And I was really impressed with him. I was really impressed with a kid who's in his early 20s that can go out all night in London, not have a drink, not get out of order, but can still enjoy himself and feel the other side of life away from the sacrifices. And it really impressed me. We had a lovely chat that morning. We had a little chat on the train, and then I moved to wherever I was sitting, obviously first class. So I think the boys, I don't know where the boys were sitting. I don't know if they were in first class, but we had a little chat. And there's something about the energy that Junaid has that really impresses me. I know he had a bit of a test in America in one of his recent fights, but I just think there's something world class about him, Boxing King Media, that I really like. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but there may be something very special about this kid.
I'll try not to say too much about fighters and what I think of them, but what did you make of you didn't see the fight then?
I haven't caught up with that fight. I haven't caught it. It's one of the fights I haven't caught up with. Why did you think? Did you think it was close?
Well, I'm just going by general perception, looking at the comments, etc. You know, a lot of people saying it could have been a draw, but Fawaz could have edged it. But I think Junaid is obviously you've seen what he said in the post-fight interview. He had an off night, and he's asked for a rematch in Sheffield.
I haven't seen it. I'll tell you what I'll do next time we come on. I'll make sure I've had a look at it, and
Yeah,
I'll tell you what I think.
yeah,
Let's just make a little mental note of that.
yeah. There's a
It's
lot
one
of
I need to catch up on. Like I said, I was at the Bare Knuckle over the weekend, and
there's a lot of people that did say Fawaz is going to be a tricky fight, and they told me that the day before. Adam Azim told me because he sparred Fawaz for the O'Hara Davies fight, and he said, "Do not
right.
rule Fawaz out. He's very good at
Okay.
his distance, and he was a good amateur. He's got a lot of experience, and he's very strong. Punches from crazy angles. So yeah. And then moving on, next fight we'll jump straight into Adam Azim. Tell me, were you surprised by his performance and mainly the inside work, which is what Sergey Lipnitz told me after the fight. He goes, I was surprised how good he was on the inside because he assumed he could only fight on the back foot.
He's good on the inside because of his speed and punch selection, and he's in and out so quickly. And he also weathered the punches very well, I thought. That's what was most impressive. Like you say, the uppercuts, the punch, particularly the punch selection, and how he was able to tough it out. I think one of the things we always worried about with Amir Khan when he was coming through, had blistering hand speed, but defensively and in terms of his chin, there were always weaknesses or frailties there that made him a very exciting fighter, particularly the Marcos Maidana fight. Adam has shown, both with the O'Hara Davies fight, and yeah, O'Hara Davies was ready to finish his career. He showed a poise and precision in that fight. He went up a level. Admittedly, Lipinets, the thing that stood out for me is that because Lipinets is such a pro, he could have made more of a meal of the low blows. They were definitely low blows in there, but he didn't because he's such a proud fighter. You know, and I think Adam.
He tell me that he felt that they were not deliberate. He felt they just kind of happened in the motion.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. What we know is that he's so tough. They definitely affected him as well, though, in the fight. Look, you can only praise what Adam Azim did on the night because it was a fantastic performance against a guy who had fought Mikey Garcia, who was stopped by Boots Ennis. And it was, I think the matchmaking for Azim has been perfect at this stage with a fight with Lipinets because we're all now seeing the glow around him where we've now brought it like that for him and Dalton Smith fighting. And I agree with the McGuigans, and my view has been altered that Adam is getting ready for world level. He's close to fighting at world level now. I mean, they've even mentioned Albert Puello and Jose Valenzuela as opponents for him. Both of those are champions. One, Puello, obviously a champion because Devin Haney's champion in recess with the WBC at the moment. But, you know, I think they might have even mentioned Richardson Hitchens.
Josh Taylor as well.
And, well, Josh Taylor's a great idea if Josh is prepared to take that. I don't think he will. I'm not sure Josh is too proud a man to fight a young up and comer unless they're capable of putting enough money on the table. The truth is, at the moment, both Dalton Smith, because we are speaking about them in the same breath, and Adam Azim, if you look at the Ring magazine rankings, they're not in the top 10. They haven't crossed over into the mainstream yet. They're not known to casual sports fans yet. They've got a couple of fights to go. Barry and Shane will do a great job in promoting Adam, and Eddie Hearn will do a number on Dalton Smith and bring him through. But they're progressing really well. They're still highly touted prospects on the cusp of world level. And I really like the future in the next 24 months for those two.
Where do you see that fight now? Because, you know, when I speak to both sides, anyone that's pro Adam Azim says, oh, he stops Dalton. And anyone that's pro Dalton is saying that Dalton knocks him out early, etc. But I've not spoken to many neutral people. You as a neutral person, where do you see it? Is it 50-50? Is it 60-40? How do you see it at the moment?
52-48 for Adam Azim right now after that performance on Saturday night. He's got the hand speed and the footwork to produce some very dangerous moments for Dalton Smith, who might find himself he'll be hit more and hit harder than he's ever hit. He's a brilliant body puncher as well, Adam Azim, and I'd like to see him working more on the body punches because I think he can finish people with the angles he creates and those punches from nowhere to the body. I think that's where he's going to be most dangerous at world levels. At the moment, because of that on Saturday night and the way he performed, I think what it is in my mind, Dalton Smith for Uiza, who didn't really show much resilience whatsoever, and yet Lipinets did as a veritable, venerable pro and a veteran pro at 35. I think Adam showed a lot more, and I think he's just edged ahead.
I was talking to Sam Jones, and he was saying that he doesn't think, because I was saying both guys deserve to get 7 figures to put the O's on the line against each other. And right now, it's not that type of fight. But he reckons he won't ever get to that stage unless His Excellency jumps in. What do you think? Can you see this building up into like a mega stadium fight where both guys get paid what they deserve?
We're not there yet. Unless Turkey out. We're not there yet for them to earn enough money on the table, I think, unless someone like a Turkey Al Sheikh steps in and says, I want that. I mean, is there enough time? Right, what are we looking at here? We're looking at Sky with Adam Azim, and we're looking at DAZN with Eddie Hearn and Dalton Smith.
27-year-old and a 22-year-old.
I mean, I would love that fight to be on the undercard of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But there isn't enough time, and it needs to headline, you know? Yeah, exactly. And there's Shane said it himself, on the table now needs to be a big enough purse for both men to make the fight happen, because someone's getting derailed for a while in it. So they're both admitting there's big risk. You know, as I said, it's a 48-52, 50-50 fight in many ways. And they're both growing. And neither of them, as I say, are in the top 10 of the Ring magazine rankings right now.
What did you make of Dalton Smith's win? Because I don't think I've spoken to you since.
Well, as I said to you, there wasn't much resilience put up by Uiza, as I said just now. You're clearly not listening tonight. You've been on one of your long walks or something.
No. I'm just preparing for the next question. That's why. Sorry, I missed that bit.
No, but without being rude. I mean, I just think I'd said just now. I think that's the reason why we got much more from Adam, because we didn't get much resilience or resistance from Uiza, who didn't look like he was there. Without being rude to him, he didn't look like he was there mentally and physically all week. Right,
we'll move on to the big news today, and I still don't even know if this is true or not. If it's just
no, of course it isn't.
Jake Paul CANELO, is that really happening?
Of course it isn't.
Okay,
that for me, that can't be true right now, given that Terence Crawford has signed to fight Saul Canelo Alvarez in Las Vegas in September. We'll all be there. It'll be massive. They're going to both earn huge sums of money for it. It's a brilliant fight. I think Crawford's going to win on points. From a long way out is my feeling. He's going to win on points. I spoke to Showtime Sean Porter at TalkSport this week. We did a show with him. that'll come out soon. It'll air soon. It's fantastic, and he's absolutely convinced that Terence will beat. Well, he would say that anyway, wouldn't he? Because he was beaten by Terence, the only man to stop him in his career. But I've called for that fight for a long time, and I just think, or certainly since Crawford emerged into 154, it's a brilliant fight. It's a fight for the ages. It's a fight between, for me, the number 3 pound for pound in the world and the number 6 pound for pound in the world, Boxing King Media, with Usyk at 1, Neuer Inui at 2, Crawford at 3, Beterbiev at 4, Bivol at 5, and Canelo at 6.
Well, another guy that deserves to be amongst them now, and I think he's kind of silenced a lot of doubters after his win over the weekend, because I know a lot of people picked David Morrell to beat Benavidez, but
Come on,
a lot
come
of people
on.
were a lot of people were saying this is the first boxer he's fighting who's got proper skills, power, amateur pedigree, etc. But Benavidez proved he is the man.
He did prove he's the man. It was a brilliant performance. He got knocked over late, but I think it was more of a slip off balance. Morrell was game. David is a huge light heavyweight, as is Benavidez. They're big guys. I thought it was a great performance. I still think that Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, who we will see in action soon in Riyadh, can't wait to be there. I think those two inhabit a different plane to all the rest. And I think maybe Benavidez is a step ahead of, obviously, he is of Morrell. Maybe he is of Anthony Yard and Joshua Buatsi as well. And we shall see what happens with Callum Smith and Joshua Buatsi. But my feeling is Benavidez, if Beterbiev beats Bivol, is the rightful guy to take on Beterbiev next. If Bivol wins, then we get the trilogy.
No, we definitely know Beterbiev is definitely, no matter what happens, he's staying at light heavyweight because he's told me he's not moving up. He prefers.
No, the fight that they want with Opataya, that HE, that Turkey wants with Opataya, it's not on. And it makes me giggle in some ways, not what Turkey wants, but it's such a peculiar sport in some ways where we are talking about Terence Crawford, who's moved up from lightweight to really super middleweight to fight Canelo. When we look at Canelo, who's moved up to light heavy, when we look at Showtime Sean Porter beating Usyk at middleweight in the amateurs in a 4-round fight back in 2007-8 for the USA against Ukraine. It's a weird sport, isn't it, at times, that Showtime Sean Porter, like I say, said it was great that I pointed it out because Usyk's now the king of the heavyweight division. But I just think Opataya is too young, too much tensile strength, too much speed for a Benavidez, for a Beterbiev. I just think it's a step too far, especially with Beterbiev at 38.
Fair play, fair play. Either way, Gareth, I think boxing is not dying. We've got some amazing fights and events coming up in the next 2 years, I'd say. And
yeah, absolutely. I've said it. Last year was a 9 out of 10. This year will mirror that because of the setup, because of Saudi Arabian investment. All those doubting voices. You and I have been in from the start. We've traveled 9 or so weeks of our lives now to Saudi Arabia. They're serious about it. They care about it. They've got a roadmap and a route plan. It's not just random as it looked like at the beginning. The heavyweight division has a shape to it now. We may see the end of Fury and Usyk and Joshua and Chisora and Zhang and Dillian White this year, but there's an escalator. There's a conveyor belt of talent coming through all the way down to the novices. I see that Delicious Ori's been signed by Queensberry as well today. I missed the Zoom with him. I was busy with something else. But it's in many ways the fights that were made last year will set up for even better fights this year. Look at Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia in in semi-finals before they rematch in what is a very big fight. The only missing puzzle with everyone coming together, and we're talking about an Al Heyman Premier Boxing Champions card at last weekend, obviously with David Morel and David Benavidez. All we need is the cooperation of Premier Boxing Champions and Al Heyman and his stable with Turkey, and I think it will happen this year. And then boxing's come together in a formidable way that we have never seen before, maybe not since the 80s when Don King put that heavyweight tournament together that Mike Tyson emerged from.
Well, let's just hope that does happen, because it just makes more content for us and it gives us more opportunity to speak to more people in boxing and about boxing. But yeah, Gareth, I think that's pretty much it, mate. I think we've covered.
Well, the other thing I need to say to you, which you haven't asked me, at the weekends, there was a statement that Martin Bakole and Anthony Joshua fought.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, but I know you addressed that on a few other channels. Yeah,
I did. Yeah, I mean, I just want to say I get them talking it into existence, but I did go behind the scenes, as you know, then, because you've seen it. And I'm just very surprised that everyone just lived with that rather than got Eddie Hearn or Frank Smith on the phone or 258 management and said, what's going on here? How can they say that and you don't respond?
So what did they say? It is false.
Well, they just said there haven't been talks. I think they're trying to talk it into existence and make it veritable or real, give it a realism out there. But I don't think I get what they're doing. I get what Billy Nelson and Bakole and Ben Shalom are doing. But
people talking, hasn't it? It's made you pick it up and made you, you know what I mean? That it's clever.
Exactly. But it's not signed, sealed, and delivered for the summer. I think what they may have done is had a conversation that it is a possibility if you're looking away. Is your dinner ready?
No. My next question I'm going to tell you in a second, but go
on. Is that basically, with Tyson Fury's career in abeyance at the moment, I just think it's a sensible thing to do, like you say, to throw it out there into the ether and see what the reaction is, see if the mud sticks around it.
Well, the reason I was looking, I didn't want to get the name wrong, but on the weekend, Bakole's brother-in-law, Emani Colombo, I was quite impressed with him. He's got a 19-1 record with 18 knockouts. He's married to Bakole's sister. If you want to watch the interview, it's on the channel now. But okay. I asked him about the processing when he went to ask, for the hand in marriage, if Bakole had a word with him, because he's a unit, isn't he? And he's the last person you get upset. But I think the way he made it sound like his missus is the gaffer anyway. But he was quite funny.
But what's funny about him, again, he's 32 this year. He's only 31. And he looks and acts older than he is. He's been around a long time. Billy Nelson's done great things with him. I think they're a great combination. I really hope they get a big fight this year, or even two. I mean, he matches brilliantly with Zhilei Zhang. Look, he's had two great performances against Carlos Takam and Jared Anderson, and he's shown what he's capable of doing. I think for me, he's just ahead of Anthony Joshua in the division right now. It's a very dangerous fight for Joshua. Love to see him in with Zhang, in with Daniel Dubois. I think he could give Alexander Usyk problems early in a fight. There's great fights out there for him, and I hope he gets them this year.
Indeed, I hope so too. Gareth, pleasure as always, mate. I'm going to let you crack on, and I'll catch you next time.
About motivation, winners need discipline. Wake up and win today. Discipline comes from within.